Out here in Central Park, you can check it out. Some guy over there doing his Tai Chi martial arts thing. People walking around. It's a nice sunny day. I just stopped in the Met. I was trying to take some photographs for this project, for this video I'm thinking of, this video I'm working on putting up. But I just wanted to update and just talk about a few things that I've been seeing going on. There's a lot that's been going on politically over the last week, and I haven't really posted anything up. But just today, I found out that Jovi Val got attacked after the Milo Yiannapoulus Dangerous book release party. I attended the book release party, uploaded a video about the speech, leave links in the low bar, and I'll talk about that more. But he went out after the party and he was wearing his Trump hat, his Make America Great Again hat, was at a bar in New York, and got in an altercation with somebody. Apparently, the guy's girlfriend took his hat, threw it on the ground, was stepping on it. This is what I was reported, at least what I saw. Again, links in the low bar to the story. And he was telling the guy's girlfriend to stop stepping on the hat, and then he got a bottle smashed in his face. So now he's taking in. He's got, of course, he's got medical costs and whatnot coming from that altercation. But talking about that happening, and at the same point, the G20 protests that were going on, not protests, these were outright riots. I saw photographs of it happening and saw the smoke just passing on different stories, and I was just thinking, oh, that must be the Middle East or somewhere. And then no, that was Hamburg. That was Hamburg, Germany. People, the Black Bloc, Antifa, these leftist thugs were out there just tearing up the city. So there's about something like 30,000 people on there. Lauren Southern was out there. She was actually being stalked. There were people informing other people about where she was. She had a talk with Stefan Monio. Again, links in the low bar to that. But I'm thinking about all these things, the things Lauren Southern had said there, the things one of my friend was talking about, how the people on the left say that they're edgy or they're libertarians or they're counterculture, when it's so clear in some places they are the establishment. This is America. I thought it was America, this South Park thing. Definitely will probably put a link to that too. But just trying to get some humor in this really dark situation, because the American president, Donald J. Trump, is the president of everybody who is American. If you're in this country, he's the president of this country. Yet, you can't, there's places in this country where you walk around in support of this man, and you're liable to be attacked. Now, I don't know what Jovi was doing at that time, but I was out there at 4th of July, and it's made me think a lot about what America is, why I would want to become American, live in this country, because, and I'm thinking with some people, they don't really think about this that much, because if you're American, you live in the country regardless. Most Americans can't really imagine living in another country. They wouldn't consider living into another country. They were born into this. They just kind of know this. This is kind of a situation. If somebody is of a religion, if they're born into a religion, if they're indoctrinated into that religion, there's a lot of times where they don't know much about the actual religion itself. There's people who are Christian, who go to church on a daily basis, who've never read the Bible. But a lot of the people who convert into Christianity likely had something in their life, and then they saw something in Christianity and researched it and found out about it. So I've been in the process for this for a long time, just thinking about America and the good things about it and the bad things about it, like the foreign policy, just the things you hear a lot of the people on the left talking about that gets people to dislike America, to get to this point where they can want to punch someone in the face for saying "Make America Great Again," or they can want to ask, when was America ever great? Now, I'll go into how somebody can think that and also be American, although you have some people saying they don't identify as American, they identify as black, or they identify as gay, or they create all these other identities to supersede their American identity, even if they even feel they have an American identity. But I'll get into that maybe even later, yeah. But I just want to get back to the point. It's this, I've been looking into what made America, America. Why is America a great place? Why is the West a great place? Because America did come from the West. I mean, Europeans came to America, established America, and they built the country along with a lot of negative things, but a lot of positive things. if you want to if you want to assign blame to the current Americans, if you want to assign them blame for the negative things in the past, you also have to give them credit for the positive things that happened. But back to this Hamburg thing, back to the situation with Jovi, back to the situation of my 4th of July, being out there waving this huge American flag with a couple of friends of mine. A couple of them had MAGA hats on. And then we go to a restaurant after, and okay, 2 people had MAGA hats on. It was me with a flag. I had a Donald Trump 45th president shirt that I got at the inauguration. And we're sitting there, felt some tension with the waitress there. This was in Brooklyn. And at the end of the night, at the end, once we were done, once we were getting the bill, once we were paying, she comes up and says, to be honest with you guys, nobody at this restaurant wanted to serve this table. So just wearing Make America Great Again hat, a shirt saying the president of the country, on the day the country's celebrating its birthday, celebrating the July 4th, the independence, that gets people to not want to serve you. So later we left, and 2 of my friends, both of the ones who were wearing the MAGA hats, went to Dunkin' Donuts, and apparently they got attacked. One of them was a female, and the other one was male, and the male stopped in and stopped it, so it wasn't that bad. But I'd mentioned in a previous video that I'd been to some of these events. It was the video after the Representative Scalise shooting. I talked about how the shooter had been at these political events, and you'd seen him holding signs, talking about his political wants. So it was a terrorist attack because he went out there to shoot these Republicans with committing violence with political ends in mind. Now, I thought maybe just being out there filming at these events, I've actually seen the next shooter, the next crazy person that's going to go out there and do this. But it turns out that by going to these events, I actually saw the next victim, which is Jovi Val, because I first met him at the May Day event, and I'd seen him at a couple of these other events. There was a video of him at March Against Sharia, saw him at the Milo event, and then here he is being attacked for being very verbose and open about his support of Trump. And then I think about that, I think about stories I'm hearing from back in Kenya that happened during elections, and thinking about things that happen in developing countries. I'm thinking about how I thought that burning image of that burning image of buildings was from the Middle East, when it turns out to be Hamburg, Germany. Then you go and look at the film and you look at the coverage of that, and it's a mess. It's actually armed people in the streets, looting, rioting, burning things down, and it looks like it could be any country in the world. And this is what I tell people about when they ask me how Nairobi, Kenya is. I tell them, there's some places that look like anywhere else in the world, and there's some places that are uniquely Nairobi that have its own negatives. But the people are still people. People still do things for the reasons they have. This is what I think. I think different things happen for the same reasons, and the same things happen for different reasons, because we're all humans when it comes down to it. But now, when we take something in, when we take information in, when we take the election of Donald J. Trump, why is it for some people it's rah rah, yay, this and that, like we're going to celebrate this? Why is it for some people it's let me go and punch these people in the face, let me go smash a bottle on this guy's face? What's that going to accomplish? Literally, what would that have accomplished? What was that guy thinking when he decided to smash his bottle in Jovi's face? What's the result from that? Think about the coverage with the attacks that are going on Trump supporters from the left, and you think about the coverage of something like what's happening in Hamburg, Germany. Think about the media sources saying that a Donald Trump tweet or some wrestling thing is going to encourage violence against media people, when they've been talking about things. They've been talking about, oh, we're the resistance. Oh, he's not a duly elected official. They're actual leaders, they're actual political members of the Democratic Party, high-running ones, have been saying this, high-ranking ones, have been saying this. Do the media kind of know that, hey, we already have people on edge, that we know if Trump tweets this out, it's not necessarily going to get people on the right to go out and attack, but it's going to get our lunatics to go out. It's going to push more of our lunatics over the fence. Okay, so that's just a few thoughts on this. I've also been considering, why do this? When I go to these events, I see people like Jovi, I go there myself, and I also think, why am I going to these events? Why am I participating? Why am I recording these things? And I'm trying to understand something about myself too, and just understand something about the country, as I said before. But I think it's good for people to see this. I was just at the Met, and there was a photograph I saw where they were talking about the Native Americans. It was the Native Americans, I think in Wyoming, and I might have been wrong. I'll put a link to, or put the photo up in the links below. But they were talking about how this German painter had gone to the West and he had done this painting of these Native Americans, kind of just a everyday life thing. It wasn't like the war things, it wasn't out in the prairie on the horses, but it was kind of a landscape scene in this meadow of sorts, and there was some teepees being built up, or there are huts being built up. There was kids at play. There was like, it seems like hunting parties. There were some horses here and there. So it just looked like a snapshot into the daily life of this tribe. And it was written in the description that that was one of the paintings that helped make people in the Europe have a better understanding and picture what life in America was at that time. And I think that's what I'm trying to do somewhat with these things. I'm thinking it's a snapshot of what's going on, at least in these political events, in this time, because I think it's a big time. I think this thing with Trump coming in is really going to change a lot. He's doing a lot on the international stage. He was up at G20. There's finally met Putin. They're saying white power handshake, right, grabbing the guy's arm. People pointing out things like Angela Merkel eye-rolling because Putin is mansplaining. I'm just thinking about the things that the media is covering, some part of the media is covering, the things that people are talking about. The North Korea thing coming up, and just being in just a convenience store and coming out and having somebody look at the North Korea. It was written on this New York Post or something, entire cover of the Inquirer. Someone's like, is this real? Someone just gasped, is this real? Because now they have a missile that can reach Alaska. Now, what I'm thinking is, for me, I get it. Politics is important for me because part of it is I'm trying to become part of a country where I want to understand the political system. I want to be able to say, yes, I'm proud to be American and have an understanding of what it does mean to be American. When I feel a lot of people really don't care. A lot of people just go along with their life and they have other more important things, at least they consider more important, because end of the day, no matter who the person running the country is, they'll be American. They'll stay in America. So they're just taking it for granted, in my opinion. But anyway, back, I think part of what I'm doing is keeping a snapshot of the country, keeping a snapshot of what's going on there, so you guys can see what's going on in these events. I think some of the people attending want to do that too. Okay, just thought of one more thing. I was trying to say why do people not talk about politics? And I was trying to think like, oh, okay, some of the stuff I was writing, I used to write about just a bunch of random everyday stuff, and wondering why am I actually talking about political things now, and why do people do it? I encourage people to actually talk with their friends about it, but I also understand why people don't talk about certain subjects in general. The left has been saying that they were the ones on the outside, but they are the establishment. One of my friends was talking about how they took the term liberalism or liberal and have turned it into something else, but being a liberal is still there. Now, you don't have to be wide and open about it, because you have things like what happened with Jovi Val here, the physical attacks. And then I've seen other people in other communities who go against the established narrative, and they're kind of an outcast, and I've seen people build up. And there's one like Brian Martinez, who's one of the honey badgers. He apparently got diagnosed with cancer, and then they were also doing a fundraiser now for his medical costs. And that's the thing out there, when you talk about certain things, when you put yourself out in some situations, it can affect you monetarily, it can affect your life, and it can put you outside of the established group, outside of the generally accepted narratives in people in the country. And I get that, in the world, just in your neighborhood. But as one of my friends told me, she started dieting and she's doing really well on that, my fit BFF. But she was talking about how the 4th of July, she finally found some friends at a healthy eating barbecue. And I was telling her how, whenever you get into something new, even if you think it's something that's not that popular, that important, but you get into a situation where you start you start living that, you start openly living that and putting that out there, and eventually you will attract people who believe the way you do. There's going to be a purgatory or some kind of flailing around for a while when you're going between the community that you were in before to find this new community of people. Like just the other day, somebody asked me, okay, how many friends have you lost talking politically. And yeah, there's people who I stopped talking to or stopped talking to me, but all the friends I've met recently are political because I've been political. I've been talking about these things in my life. I live it. I'm actually out there with it. And I get to meet more people that way who we share the same concerns, and we like talking about these things and debating these things and trying to find answers in these things. So it's not necessarily just left right, but it's people who think it's valuable to talk about politics and talk about these things. So I get why people don't get out and talk about these, but I encourage more people to, and I hope they do. And yeah, that's it. And yeah, I think that's it for now. It's a bit of a ramble, but just a bit of an update. I'll leave a link to there's a GoFundMe or there's a researcher funding thing for Jovi Val, and a couple of more links in the blog post attached to this. Yeah. Till next video. I'll try to have a couple more videos coming up this week. This project that I was taking photos for, that'll probably be out hopefully by the end of this week. But yeah, till next video, this is Silas. Bye.